Hi, I'm Darcy Benencosa, and welcome to my holiday Christmas photo. This is my child, Annie, and this is her twin brother, Ansel. And these are my babies, and I'm going to teach you a little bit about how to work them. Because let's be honest, don't listen to this, the Contax 645 is quite a tricky camera. If you have a dud, get rid of it. Otherwise, they're magical, mystical creatures like unicorns, and you should get one. They're worth every penny. Every photo you take will be gold if you know how to work your camera. So we're going to go over a quick review of the Contax 645 and how to work it. It's got a bunch of gadgets. We're going to do some close-ups on that, but just the camera as a whole is quite substantial. The one part of my body that's actually in shape is the arm that lifts this sucker, and I use manual focus only, although it does have an autofocus. I don't rely on that very much because it can be off slightly, and so for me to get the autofocus to work correctly, I have to take a lot of time composing it and making sure I've really got the autofocus tuned in right where I want it in focus, and I found it's just much faster to use the manual focus. If you are new to manual focus, like I was years ago, it will feel like learning a foreign language to try and get this in focus. But if you keep at it and you put in your 10,000 hours and you really dedicate yourself to learning the manual focus, now I'm like a ninja. I can photograph moving children and get them in focus in this camera. That is a true testament to how much your hand can really become one with the camera, which is the whole goal when using this camera. The highlight features of this camera are, of course, the lens. The Zeiss 80mm 2.0 lens is gold. It is magical. It makes everything look like a Rembrandt painting. I actually have another video just on photos I've taken at 2.0 so that you can get a really clear vision of what this camera looks like at different apertures. So 2.0 and 2.8 are basically where I live when I shoot this. I rarely go up to 5.6, but I will do that when I'm photographing large wedding parties, possibly 8.0, but it's very rare. This camera is not meant to be used at high apertures. You can, and it looks beautiful, but if you're a landscape photographer, I don't think I would recommend this camera. I truly think this is a portrait camera. It makes everybody look dreamy and 10 years younger and takes off 20 pounds without Photoshop. When you're shopping around for a camera, chances are you won't be in the same city or state or zip code as the person selling it to you. So one of the main things that I have them do when I'm looking to purchase a camera is send me an audio recording of the shutter. The shutter on this camera is stalwart, it's amazing, and it has a very specific sound. So I'm gonna shutter it up right here. Do you hear it? It's a substantial sound, and it's very crisp and quick. If you hear one that feels clunky, like clunk, clunk, don't buy that Contax. It means the shutter is on its way out. That's how it should sound, and that sound just thrills me more than anything else because it means I'm capturing amazing photos. Most people stick straight to the 80mm lens. I did that for several years and then realized there were a lot of situations I wasn't being able to cover with my Contax. So I picked up this 35mm lens. It goes really wide. It helps me get those wide shots like this one. Martha Stewart, one of the top photos of 2018. I can get really beautiful long table shots like you see here. I can get epic church images and all things like that on my Contax. Now, because I have two, I have one with the 80 and one with the 35. If you shoot weddings like I do, which the Contax is a great camera for that, you want to have a couple of camera backs because what it does is it allows you to have your assistant load the film while handing you camera backs so you can have continuous shooting. This is the back. I already did a different video about how to load the film, so just check below to see the details and close-ups of loading the film. One thing to really check about the camera back is to make sure that this little area right here stays very firm. If this can move back and forth very easily, that means your back is broken and it needs to be fixed. And what will be the telltale sign of that is that you will have film that is in focus on one part of the image and out of focus on the other. It's crazy that that could happen, but my very first shoot that I did with the Contax 645, I took about 20 rolls of film and the back wasn't broken, but what had happened was I wasn't pushing it into the camera hard enough to hear a click and a click. And we'll show you a little bit about that. But you want to make sure the back is not broken. Welcome to the 645. The most important button is the on and off button. When it's on, you will see the red high-tech button right here, indicator that the camera is indeed on. Going here is auto exposure lock. I never use this because I do not shoot my camera on auto. Right here is how you shoot your camera. This is obviously aperture priority. You hit this little button right here and you'll be able to move this to X, M, TV, AV. So AV is aperture priority, shutter priority, manual, which is where mine lives, X I have no freaking idea, and B is bulb. And I just never use X, so I don't really know. The awesome thing about this camera is you only need to know a couple of things and it will still work. This is if you want to expose more. So if you want to underexpose, you move that here. I always keep it at 0 because I'm always doing manual. If you want to overexpose, you would put here. Right here is autofocus. If you push this button, it will focus. It takes a lot of time for me to get it in focus, so I do not use this button if I'm in a hurry. I rarely use it, and I am mostly a manual focuser. Here is where you manual focus, and this is where your aperture lives. I live at 2.8 m4. For large group photos, I go up to a 5.6. It's very rare that I will go up to an 8, but sometimes on really sunny beach days, I need to. And here's your shutter. So I live right around 30, 60, 125, 250. Up here, 1,000, 2,000, 4,000 with Fujifilm is really hard to get up that high. So I rarely use that. Now it does continuously go, so you can get 8 seconds, 4, 2, 1, 2, 4. So it goes in a big circle. I've heard a lot of people complain that if they were shooting at 4 and it got knocked to 8, it would ruin their exposure. But honestly, I rarely live there. My camera is usually always 60th, 30th, 125. So if it ever gets knocked, it's only a stop, which doesn't really affect my photos too much. Plus, I check this a lot because I'm always metering with my light meter. So I don't have a lot of issues with the buttons. This is what number you're at. I'm obviously at the beginning of a roll. So let me just make sure this roll is in there. This is how you open the camera. It's right here. And then close it. So let me open the camera. Here it is. I've got film in here. Take it out. There's the dark slide. You make sure you push it in and both of these come out. If you put it in and only one side is clicked in, and this side is not, it's sitting crooked. So this part of the negative will be out of focus and this part will be sharp. So you really need to anchor it in. That is one of the biggest mistakes I ever made starting out with this camera, is that I did not anchor in both sides. I put it in a hurry, I shoved it in there, and one side clicked and the other didn't, and that's when you're getting really blurry photos. If you continue to get blurry photos, even if you've definitely anchored this in, it will be a problem with your film back. Put this in, turn the camera on. That rolls the camera. Right here you'll see a number 1 appear. I'm shooting on 120 film, so it says 120. If I shoot 220, it will say 220 up there. Right here, this is basically where the internal light meter is reading. I never use the internal light meter, so this doesn't make a lot of difference in my photos, but this way means it's reading the entire scene, and this way means that it's spot metering. So if you point it at someone's face, it's going to meter for that face, even if there's sunlight or more light around them. If you do it here, the camera's going to read the best exposure for the entire frame. So when in doubt, I would leave it on spot meter. This little thing right here opens and closes the prism. I, again, never use that. And this right here is the diopter. If you need to get your fine-tune the way you see your camera, so you can look inside and you can fine-tune the focus there. Over here, this is how you open the camera. I'm not going to do that now because I just rolled film into it. Right here is how you adjust for the ISO. I just leave mine on 200. Honestly, it doesn't matter for me because I shoot on manual focus. This little button, you push it in here and you're able to move the dial. Again, it doesn't matter for me because I am able to use whatever I want with my light meter. Here is how you remove the film back. You want to make sure the dark slide is in or it will ruin your film. So here's the dark slide. When you're shooting, you rest it in the back of the camera. When you're not shooting, you put it right in there. And then to take off the back, you move this and push it in. And the back comes off and there's your shutter right there. So, and then the back goes on really easy. You kind of want to, there's the sensors. You want to kind of hook it together. Okay. There we go. This will take on and off the prism right here. It'll pull it off. And this is how you put it back on. Oops. Sometimes if the camera doesn't work, which I have talked about in another video, you just want to go all the places where the sensors connect and make sure they're all connected, because if it ever doesn't read a sensor, the camera won't shoot. Here is your double exposure. So you just click this little thing in and bring this down. Oops, let's see if I can do it one-handed. And that red dot means you are not going to advance the film. It means you can take multiple exposures on one. So the trick is take your shot, put it on multiple exposure, take the other shot, and then come back over here and click it back up so that it will advance again. This is where your flash sinks go. I don't really plug my flash right into my camera because I rarely use on-camera flash for this camera. I just put a trigger up here that attaches to an off-camera flash. Right here is about the frame. So this is a single shot. You can turn it to C, which is continuous shooting for fast action, which this is not a fast action camera, so I don't really use that. If I did use it, I would use it during dance sequences or when they're walking down the aisle at the end and they're walking fast. The 2 is if you want a 2-second delay, so you have it on the tripod, you're taking a long exposure, you click 2, and the 10 is for a 10-second delay in case you want to run around and be in the photo. This is something that you push in, and you have to kind of, if you push this little thing in, then it will rewind the film without having shot it all. Now, I don't know why you would waste good film. I personally wouldn't, but if there's some emergency and you have to do that, you have to get in there kind of deep right there. That's what she said. All right, this one is to remove the lens right here. You push it in, turn, and the lens comes off. Again, you've got sensors there and here that have to meet up when operating. Oop, I just dented the table. Here's how you put it back on. Make sure it's on there steady and firm because it will fall off and you will waste all your money. This here you push to get the depth of field through the viewfinder. I've never used this in my life because I understand how the depth of field will work, but you would look through the viewfinder, hold this button down, and that will give you the depth of field. Okay, this is how you get your strap on. They're very particular to the Contax. Most don't use that. That I think is for bulb or something. I don't know. I don't really use that. Yes. Okay, the battery. Here we go. The battery, this is an open and close sign. I think you flip this down, turn it like this, and slide it out. And again, this sensor and this sensor are very, very touchy. So if your camera stops working, this is the first sensor I would try. I would take it off, blow on it, whisper sweet nothings, speak kindly and softly to it, encourage it, make sure it feels loved and accepted, and then slide it back on and see if that works. You got to kind of play with it to get it in there. Again, that's what she said. Okay, so this is the battery. It comes out like this, and it is a 2CR5. I buy them in bulk, lithium. If you're traveling internationally, you cannot put these in checked luggage, and you want to keep them on your carry-on. I do not have a big battery grip for my Contax. A lot of people do. I can shoot about 17 rolls of film with one battery, sometimes 18 or 19. So during a wedding day, I can go through up to 3 to 4 batteries, depending on how much film I'm shooting. And I think that's it. The beautiful, luxurious camera to the celebrities, the Contax 645. All in all, that's the Contax 645. It's my go-to camera. I love it dearly. I take it everywhere I go. It has become one of my signature cameras. It makes everything look dreamy, everyone look younger, everyone look thinner, everyone look like their Grace Kelly. Now, how's that for a camera review? If you run into any problems with the Contax 645, make sure to watch my other videos where I talk about troubleshooting such issues, or even reach out and send me an email. I want people to love this camera, use it. I don't know why I'm not an affiliate or anything. They don't even make them anymore, but it has just radically changed my life and my business, and I will never part with these cameras. I'm Darcy Benincasa. Thanks for watching, and remember, photograph like a ninja.